Om. 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 My most humble pranams at the lotus feet of Bhagawan Baba. Sai Ram, everybody. With love and reverence, I welcome everybody to this across California region to this very special satsang. Over the past year, we have been coming together online for these inspiring satsangs. Moments of reflection, learning, and love, all leading up to our beloved Bhagavan's 100th birthday celebrations. Today marks the final grand satsang in this series, and I want to take a moment to thank every one of you for being a part of this beautiful journey of devotion and unity. A special word of gratitude goes to Brother Gene Massey, our Regional Vice President, and Brother Sunil, the Tustin Center President, for helping me coordinating these satsangs throughout the year. As a small housekeeping reminder, please keep your microphones muted during the talks so that we can all listen without interruptions. If you have any questions for our speaker, you may send them via chat to me or Gene Massey. If time permits, we may be able to take one or two questions at the end. Now it is my joy and honor to welcome our distinguished guests for this evening who have dedicated their lives to Swami's mission with deep love and service. To begin, we'll hear a few opening remarks from Brother Dr. Balu Karnam, who has held several regional and national leadership roles in the Sri Sathya Sai organization and currently serves as the president of Sri Sathya Sai Global Council, USA. After his reflections, I will have the honor of introducing our esteemed guest speaker for this evening, Brother Sri Nimish Pandya. So, Brother Balu, over to you for some
Saram,
opening remarks.
offering my most humble salutations at the lotus feet of Swami. It's an honor and privilege to be here today in this meeting and introducing, talking about Nimish Bhai, lovingly we call him Nimish Bhai, is actually those who introduce him in Sai organization needs introduction. Actually, I am Balu Karanam, by the way. So Nimish Bhai is All India president for Sri Sathya Sai Seva organizations and also our vice chair for Sathya Sai Global Council. Always I meet him at the Guru Purnima time, Aashaadhi time, actually. The way he brings the, Aashaadhi crowd, the way he brings this time especially, he walked with the SSC kid inside the Sai Kulwant Hall. That was such an inspiring, for all of us. And also each time I ask him, how do we train these speakers? He brings wonderful little lads, and also the speakers, they speak effortlessly in front of such a big crowd. And I was asking him actually, can we get those speakers to USA so that those little kids can speak here? So what it gives us is how he nurtures the next generation of leaders. That's what we really need to learn from him. And also, Nimish Bhai is one of the speaker whom we feel like hearing again and again. It's not like every speaker you feel like hearing again and again. But whenever he goes, the way he prays to Swami, he comes up onto the dais and gives the inspiring talks. We always love to hear that. With that, I say thank you, Nimish, by taking your time and coming in this very, very busy schedule. And also, our sincere request is you come in person. Maybe next year we pray to Swami, you and Kamla Ben to come here and spend time with us. It's such a big country, so that you can come to many centers. With that request, over to you, Nimish Bhai, and I think Chandra will introduce you formally. So,
So, thank you, Brother Balu, for inspiring words and sharing. We know it is quite late for you in the evening, for you in the East. Despite that, you have joined us, so thank you so much. It is now my great privilege to introduce Brother Sri Nimish Pandya, a longtime devotee and distinguished leader in Swami's mission. Sri Nimish Pandya first met Bhagawan in 1977. His family was drawn into the divine fold through the Bal Vikas movement when his youngest brother became a Bal Vikas student. Over the years, both his younger brothers studied at Swami's University, and his father served that university as a professor of commercial law. Professionally, Sri Nimish Pandya has been practicing as an advocate of the Bombay High Court since 1980, specializing in civil law, mergers and acquisitions, and contracts. A corporate law specialist, he has served on the boards of several companies. Spiritually, he continues to offer his life in Swami's service as the vice chairman of the Sri Sathya Sai Global Council and the All India president of Sri Sathya Sai Seva Organization India. He oversees Swami's education initiatives in India, including Bal Vikas and Sri Sathya Sai Schools. As a trustee of the Sri Sathya Sai Trust, Maharashtra, he has also directed numerous value-based ballets and plays for children and youth, many of which were performed in the Divine Presence during Aashaadhi Ekadasi celebrations. We are very fortunate to have Sri Nimish Bhai as our speaker for the centennial year of the Satsangs. At the conclusion of the talk, our Regional Vice President, Brother Jean Massey, will offer the closing remarks before we conclude with Arati. Brothers and sisters, please join me in welcoming Sri Nimish Pandya to share his message with us this evening. Jai Sai Ram.
Om Sri Sai Ram, and thank you very much for this very sweet words. Chandrasekhar, Balu, Jean, Massey, Sunil, all of you bring great memories back for me. And California has always been very instrumental in my growth in the world of Sai, because I met in Dubai. I came to California, but in Dubai many times. And I must remember a very close friend of mine. I don't know whether he's still there in San Francisco, but Mahendra was the person responsible to bring me to Bhagawan, literally hold my hand and tell me, here is the God, you must go and meet. And definitely Shankar, and I'm taking these names because many triggers in my life have happened because of these people. And therefore I must remember them. And I must confess that I'm extremely grateful to all my brothers and sisters in California for extending this invitation to me. And I deem it a privilege. And I must put a disclaimer that all the good things that have been said about me are all definitely attributable to the grace of Bhagawan, because he only knows the truth. He only knows what the reality is. And I, over the years, have now realized that in the world of Sai, really speaking, there is only one great power, and that is Swami, and all of us are students at his divine lotus feet. I've also realized over the years that the sheer number of years that you may have spent with Bhagavan or in his close proximity, or the perception that the world has about you being a great devotee of Bhagavan, really has no meaning, because to Bhagavan, everyone is dear to him. Whether the person has met him or not met him, whether the person knows him or doesn't know him, we've heard him say often that all of us are extremely dear to him. And how can we forget that the Lord came on this earth to convince each one of us that each one of us is a special creation of his. Each one of us is very dear to him, and he personally looks after each one of us. Therefore, in the world of Sai, I would say, at all times, everyone is dear to Bhagavan, whether we realize or we don't. Having given this opportunity to interact with all of you, I must also confess that there are many, many, many devotees, many, many people who have interacted with Bhagavan, who have great experiences. And all those experiences are nothing but PowerPoints for each one of us to get encouraged to follow his path. Because at the end of the day, I think it's very important from my perception, and I'm sure all of you agree, that in this time span between birth and death, we are all very lucky people to have realized that there is a goal that needs to be followed. We are all very lucky people to realize that at least we're trying to understand the expectation of Bhagawan as to what he expects out of us. So at this age and after so many years, I must say that I do feel that I'm still a student trying to learn, and every moment is a new exam. Every moment is a new opportunity for us to ensure that we have pleased our Bhagavan in fulfilling what his expectation is. We are on a very beautiful anvil of the centenary celebration, and I'm sure everybody is as excited as I am also, because it is not normal for a human being to be able to celebrate a centenary of the avatar of all times. Therefore, when you realize that, your hair stands on end to be able to grasp the opportunity and the grandeur of the moment that you and I are going to be a part of celebrating Bhagavan's centenary. And this is very important because I do believe that this avatar who came to us, this centenary is like a cricket match where you score a century, but now is the time to take a fresh guard to see whether we are on the right stump, we are poised at the right place for the future. Are we going to be the right inspirations for the next generation to come? Have we understood Bhagavan in the right perspective? Have we understood Bhagavan's message in the right perspective? And have we realized the beauty of the platform called the Sri Sathya Sai organization? In fact, when I was sitting with the team, some representatives from abroad and India, and we were trying to discuss the theme of the World Conference, I was trying to share this thought with them, that isn't this the time for us to realize that do we understand the grandness of this phenomenon called Sathya Sai? Do we understand the simplicity of his message? And do we understand this great opportunity called the Sai organization that has been given to us by Bhagavan? Because as I was introduced, a few decades of my life have gone through being a part of this organization, getting battered, learning, doing things, failing, doing things, getting praised, getting battered. So it's been a journey of great spiritual experiences that have gone through, and nothing to do with me. It's just that this student called Nimish was handled by Bhagavan like he handles everybody else, and trains and chisels that, okay, this is what you need to learn. Not necessarily that you've learned all the lessons that he's tried to teach you, but yes, there is an effort in that direction. Where do I begin? As I was introduced, that my introduction to Bhagavan's organization was through Bal Vikas, when my youngest brother came home singing bhajans and chanting shlokas, and I, being a young, brash youngster in the city of Mumbai, studying one of the most modern colleges of those times, and having friends which were like hundreds, and everybody was the best friend that time, not realizing that we were getting into. And then getting picked up. And I remember I was studying law, and this friend of mine, Sharma Mahendra, who was last I know was in the Bay Area, but I don't know where he is. And he also was my senior in college, and he had a great love for Bhagavan. So he and my father had conjured together to ensure that Mahendra always takes me to Puttaparthi, or he takes me to Vrindavan with him. And I think Bhagavan used him to ensure that a very adamant person like me, the only way I could be brought to his lotus feet was he using Mahendra to catch my ears and bringing him and touch his lotus feet. Well, that happened. It changed life. And Mahendra became responsible for me to be a part of Bhagavan. And then back home, the drama was unfolding. First the younger brother, then my mother, and then myself, and then my brother Mayur, who's now in Vancouver. he was the most radical of all the people there. And he was, I remember as young guys, he was very unhappy that we were all being attached to Bhagawan. And he one day came home and took Bhagawan's picture, which was lying in the drawing room, and turned it back and said, okay, if you're really God, show me. Turn your picture back. Kind of challenge, like one of those stupid challenges that you give. But I remember what happened was very dramatic, because within 6 months, that rash and brash Mayur was transformed, and he went to Vrindavan College as a student. And that changed the family texture of my whole family, where all of us came to the Divine Lotus feet. And I remember when he was there, before that, I had a dream that I was sitting in the hall in the Vrindavan College attending a summer course. And Swami came into the aisle where I was sitting, and he would stand in between my feet trying to talk to somebody else. This was a vision in my mind. But lo and behold, within 6 months, because Mayur was a part of the college, I was able to attend as a family member. And exactly the same scene happened when Swami walked up the aisle, came into the aisle where I was sitting, stood in between my two legs, and was talking to the next person. So that was the first jolt in my life that this is something strange. What is this? And then started the whole story when I was picked up by Bhagawan in my first interview. And he sort of reprimanded me, I must say, very strongly about my friends and about my habits and about my attitude to life. But three things he said, which I realize now in retrospect, that changed the course of my life. And he said, too many friends, if you have, that is, friends are there only as long as you have money in your pocket. No money, no friends. And then he said that, look, I have planned your entire life. Don't disturb my plan. And third, he said, don't run after money. I will give you enough. And he gave this famous example that he gives everyone about the shoe being right. If the size is right, it's comfortable. If it is less, it hurts. If it's small, you can't walk. But that's a time when one sentence hits me, then he says, there's only one friend and he's God inside you. When this happened, I didn't realize that time when I was a young man, but this whole saga of understanding Swami began with that one quote of his, that there's only one friend and he's God inside you. That stuck to me, though I misunderstood that statement at that point of time, and I thought the physical form was my friend. But that friendship with the physical form was always up and down. It's never consistent. But what started the saga of experience was that, yes, experiencing him within yourself was the first lesson that I learned. And as a young man, what I liked about Bhagawan was very simple. When he said that, I always say that the yearning to find out the correct address of God is always there in all of us. Where is God? Is he in Tirupati? Is he in a temple? Is he in a church? Is he in a Gurdwara? Is he anywhere? This was always disturbing me as a young man, that how can God be in so many different places? Why so many forms and why so many things like that? And being a radical myself at that point of time, this was something which was very irritating to me. But when I heard him, when I met him, that there's only one friend is God inside you. And when I heard that, and he says the correct address of God is the first time I came to know. Okay? That the address of God is not external. Okay. The address of God is always internal and not external. So that being the situation, I realized that this journey is now a different kind. And here is a master who is different. The second thing that came strikingly to my knowledge and to my understanding was that he said that all the journey and the sculpting of the entire personality started there. Because normally as a person, the biggest challenge that you have is that you have a sense of ego, you have a sense of sensitivity, you have a sense. And the part is that when I became the lawyer, and all due to his grace, and that part of my life is, I think I've said it many times, but the first hammer came when I went as a young lawyer to the High Court for the first time. And this great sense of great expertise that I had of overconfidence was hammered completely by a judge called Justice Lentin there, who really downsized me completely. And when that happened, I was already knowing Swami, and I remember going to the seaside and literally crying and praying to Swami that, Swami, why did this happen? Why did this happen? And I realized he's telling me that this is a necessary experience to chisel, to learn to accept what happens. I remember the second incident that happened was when he himself came to Dharmakshetra many years after that. And we were a part of a cultural program which was being choreographed by me. That was also the time when we had this beginning of the Sri Sathya Sai Education Human Values program, which was a part which went further down from Bal Vikas. There were many, many people. It was a new concept, and everybody was agog and very enamored by this whole concept. There was the first meeting in Dharmakshetra of the first batch of EHV teachers, and I was to lead that. But just prior thereto, in the inauguration of a particular building in Dharmakshetra, it was a midsummer of May, and Swami was there. And when the children were performing, Swami screamed at me from the top. He said, "Hey, selfish, shut up. Stop it." You know, you can imagine in front of a few thousand people, Bhagawan sitting on the stage and Bhagawan screaming from top. I mean, one never imagines Bhagawan screaming from a stage, but he did it, and I was the recipient of that so-called rage, which now I realize was laced with so much love. And I was shocked. And after that incident happened, the next meeting was the EHV conference where I was to lead the teachers of education. I was very down, I was depressed, and I said, how can I ever go and face Bhagawan when I've been officially declared to be selfish and I can't be the leader of the human values program? And when that happened, I didn't go out. But look at the Lord, there was a lesson to be taught to me that time. The lesson was, who's the master? Swami went up to that meeting and told all the other teachers who were there, I was not there. See, I told Nimish to stop. He did not stop. And he only listened to Indulal Shah and not listened to me. In Bombay, Indulal Shah is the master. Therefore, follow the master. I got to know this little later that Swami has said this, and I was, as it is, I was down. And when I heard this, I was still depressed. And in the evening, my duty was on the stage to usher Swami out to the audience. So I held back the curtains. I didn't open, and I kept on arguing with Swami. Swami, not Indulal Shah, you are the master, you are the master, you are the master. And you won't believe me, this went on for nearly 7 to 8 or 9 minutes, and Swami kept on saying, no, Indulal Shah master, no. You know, like a teacher in the kindergarten making you repeat. I must have repeated at least 60 times that, no, Swami, you are the master. And at the end of it, out of compassion, he smiled and said, smiled in such a way that it was a blessing of his own kind, as if to say that, okay, son, you learned the lesson, go ahead. That, brothers and sisters, brings me to a great experience a great understanding now, that all of us have to understand that this Swami who came is not an avatar in a sense that we believe. He's above all avatars, he's beyond everything, and he is the ultimate energy that rules the world. When he says, I'm the reason for your sight, I'm the reason for your sound, I'm the reason for your breath. And therefore, I do believe today that time has now come to set right all of us together. This understanding that Bhagawan is not Krishna, Bhagawan is not Rama, Bhagawan, he is beyond all that. He is the one who created all that. And that's where I want to refer to Shankar, because when I do so many dramas, it was Shankar who challenged me once. That Nimish, you do so many dramas. I'll give you a story and you try and do that. And he gave me that book of Tripura Rahasya, a very erudite treatise on the divinity. It was very difficult. I tried to study it, and we came to a conclusion that that book says that one of the only hindrances for man to merge with God is the sense of doership. That was the drama, that was the theme. We learned it. All my Bal Vikas children learned it very well. The drama was performed, it was done very well. Swami was very happy. And he called me on the stage to sit next to him. And you can imagine what a moment of pride it is when you sit in front of everyone, a whole hall packed, cycle one hall packed, and Swami called you. And everybody thinks that this guy is damn lucky. But what was happening, only he and I knew. He was asking me all the time, oh, very good drama. Who did it? So I, like a buffoon, kept on saying, Swami, we, Bal Vikas Gurus, we did it, we did it. Again, he asked after 2 minutes, very good drama. Who did it? Again, I made the mistake of saying, Swami, Bal Vikas Gurus, children, all of us get together. Third time he asked me, very nice drama. Who did it? And before I could say Bal Vikas Gurus, he turned the chair and he left. I realized I blundered. And while the chair was moving, I realized, oh God, the whole drama is based on the fact of sense of doership. And it couldn't come out from my mouth to say, Swami, you did it. I ran up to the chair, and in the way I was sitting there, Swami was about to enter the car. I went and caught his feet. No, Swami, you did it, you did it. But you know how it is. Once you're declared fail, you're fail. There is nothing that remains after that for you to say anything or do anything. So that being the situation, I realized that lesson. It's not easy to say all the time. You know, all of us are so akin to say, no, no, Swami did. But he knows what your real mindset is. That in your mind, you are still egoistic that you did it. In your mind, you are still craving that to your world to know that you did it. And if it doesn't come, and that's the time when God realizes what a fraud this person is. When he says, Swami did it, but in his heart, he still yearns for that recognition. And brothers and sisters, that became, for me, an understanding of the entire concept of Seva in the Sathya Sai Baba. When a Swami said, this Seva is you do, don't take doership, offer it to Bhagawan. Because this creates two experiences in life. One is removing your ego by demolishing the sense of doership, but it helps on two further things which are so important in the spiritual life. And that is surrender and acceptance. Many of us get disturbed when we do some work and doesn't go proper. Many of us get elated when something is done and people praise you. But both things are not relevant in the realm of Sai. In the realm of Sai, what is relevant is pure surrender and acceptance of everything that happens. Because he keeps on telling us, reminds us again and again that I am the doer. I have planned everything. Don't disturb my plan. The only choice you have is to realize that I am working through you. I am you and you are one. That there is no difference between you and me. This lesson is very, very important. And I think that doership was one of the strong experiences of my life when I remember I tried to do that. After that, any event that happens, I don't try to recollect that event. Even when I speak, I don't see my videos again. Even if somebody clicks my pictures, I don't see my pictures again. Because I want to forget. I want to forget and I want to be in the next moment when I want to be ready for Swami to unfold his miracle, his presence upon me. And that's the great learning that I really want to take. And yes, being with children is a great sadhana to my mind. Their simplicity, their innocence is a very catchy thing. It's a great spiritual strength for you. And therefore, being with young children is very important. And I'm grateful to Bhagawan that Kamala and I could start our careers with Bal Vikas. And I want to share a very interesting story on Bal Vikas, which I've said earlier. But the interpretation of it today makes me very, very happy and very, very blissful about the experience. When Kamala and I got married, we had just been a year's time when Bhagawan caught hold of me in Dharmakshetra, and there was a rally of 4,000-5,000 children. And there were many dignitaries, the governor, the chief minister, all of them, big shots were there, all Swami's devotees. And Swami summoned me, and suddenly in front of everyone, he asked me, how many children do you have? And as usual, I was surprised and shocked in those days that why is Swami asking this? He knows that I've just got married, I haven't started a family yet. But he kept on repeating and embarrassing me. And then when he realized that I am really down, he came in and pointed to all those 3,000 children there. Why? Aren't these 3,000 children your children? And it struck me like a thunderbolt. What he's trying to tell us. Expansion, widening the horizons of our love for people. And then immediately Swami asked me again, how many children? I said, Swami, 3,000. So the chief, all the guests are smiling. No, tell me, how many your children? I said, Swami, 3,000. And this kept on till Swami gave up, that this guy is now not going to give up. I've learned my lesson very well. And therefore, with me, it's been very strange. He's ensured that I repeat everything again and again till he thinks that I've started on the learning curve. So this happened. And thereafter, a strange thing happened between my wife and myself. We didn't start a family because I think that was his wish. I was always surrounded by children, both of us. But every time I used to sit for a puja, I used to have a very embarrassing situation. The pujari, the Vedic Pandits and the mantra and the Veda guys know, in the pujari will ask you, what is your gotra, what is this, what is that, what is that, what is the name of your child, what is the children. So when this issue used to come, what's the name of your children? Once or twice we were embarrassed, but then we realized, Kamala, I said boldly, I have two children, Bal Vikas. Bala is the girl and Vikas is the boy. Okay, so this became a rhetoric for us all the time that we have two children called Bala and Vikas. And then that expanded our understanding of Bal Vikas in such a way that all children are ours. And it is Bhagawan's mandate as the organization that Bal Vikas is one of the foremost, one of the principal objectives of Bhagawan, because he knows that the younger children will learn his reality faster. The younger children will learn what he wants them to learn faster. And therefore, it became our responsibility to ensure that Bal Vikas, by whatever name it is known all over the world, doesn't matter, but catching hold of young children and giving them the experience of divinity, introducing them to their own conscience, was a very, very important dimension which Swami wanted to ensure that we follow. And therefore, I think in my life and in Kamala's life, both of us, we really are grateful to Bhagawan for this opportunity to be with children all the time. And it's a matter of great joy when after 4 or 5 decades, when you've interacted, you meet so many people all over the world. And I must share this experience with you. What Bal Vikas does to the greatest of people. You see, recently, Brother Ratnakar and myself had gone to meet the Prime Minister of India to invite him to Prashantinil. And one day before that, I was with the Sports Minister of India, because we started this run for values in India. We're doing it in 80 cities of the country. So the Principal Secretary of the Sports Ministry of India was a very big post. Earlier, he was a part of the Prime Minister's office also. Moment we were sitting with the minister and the gentleman walks in, he immediately touches my feet, not because I'm great, but being a part of the organization and revering me as one of the Bal Vikas Gurus, he touched my feet. So the minister was looking, why is my principal secretary, who's the highest ranking officer in the government, touching this man's feet? Realizing that he himself said, sir, he is my guru, I'm a Bal Vikas student. Very boldly he said, I'm a Bal Vikas student. And my chest became broader and broader. I said, wow, that's nice. And you won't believe me, the second incident was more interesting. What our Bal Vikas and children who pass through the education philosophy achieve in life and how bold and confident they are was something which really impressed me. I must say, it was the part of Justice Ram Subramaniam, one of our retired Supreme Court judges, who is now the chief of the Human Rights Commission, was also with me sitting in that group of people who had gone to meet the Prime Minister. And the Prime Minister was he knows, I mean, he was talking about Bal Vikas and Prashanti Seva and all that. And when he was talking about all that, and we were speaking about Bal Vikas, and suddenly, just as Ram Subramaniam, yes, sir, even I'm a Bal Vikas student, imagine, okay? So I realized that time, what a powerful tool Bhagavan has given us to raise our children with this great sense of self-confidence. Their connection with their own conscience is something which really, really floored me at that point of time. And I realized that the Lord is great. So, chiseling yourself, removing your sensitivities, ensuring that you surrender ensuring that you are at peace at both the times. When it is bad, when it's good, that equipoise was important. And imagine as a young man, for me, the greatest thing was that I was ameliorated. Here I found that here is a God who doesn't want me to follow him in his physical form, not becoming a follower of his form. Here is a God who wants me to become a follower of his message. And what follow? He's inside me. He's prompting me from within. There is nothing outside. And this I must narrate with an experience which was very starking for me when I realized once again that this phenomenon called Sathya Sai is not the physical form, is not the photograph, is not the statue, is not the photo in a center only. These are all beautiful things. They are all symbols of inspiration. But the reality is that if I love Sathya Sai, I must feel him in my bones. I must do what he wants me to do. I must efface myself and let him take charge of me, was something that I learned there in that little experience that came to me. Swami had come just a year before the Mahasamadhi was in Bombay. And he had a very hectic time. You know how Mumbai is. And we kept Swami awake till 10:30, 11 in the night, going to this place, that place, interviews at 11 o'clock in the night. Can you imagine? I think Ratan Tata, the doyen of Tata Industries, he got his interview at 11 o'clock in the night in Dharmakshetra. So that's the kind of hectic time we had. And Swami was not well in the physical form. The illusion of the physical form was that he is not well. And so we got reprimanded by all the elders that time that we were very inconsiderate chaps. We don't care for Swami. We don't love Swami. You know, people say all kinds of things. But we heard it and we kept quiet. And when the visit got over, we came to see Swami off in Prashanti. And when we were sitting there in the portico to say bye and take his blessings, Swami comes on the portico in the wheelchair and he starts now. Very tight program. I got very tired. It was so difficult, very hectic. So now myself and my colleagues sitting there are now shocked. Till this time, it was all the elders talking about it. But now it is Swami himself picking us up, telling us that he is not happy with this trip. So I'm trying to dislodge Swami. Swami, I know, but you came after such a long time. No, I understand, but still very hectic program. Then I said, Swami, no, but people wanted, they were praying that you should come. I'm trying to catch everything to get out of that situation so that this conversation on this topic ends, but it won't end. Then finally, something happened. I just blurted out from my mouth that, Swami, I know, but we are very happy. All of us are very happy because you came. Then his face became like a sun, broad, smiling on his face. That so-called illness didn't look anywhere in his physiognomy. He says, yes, you are happy. If you are happy, I am happy. Tum khush, to main khush. Imagine. That's the time when it re-endorsed my feeling that this master is inside you. If you are happy, he is happy. If you are sad, he is sad. If you are down, then he is down. He is the one who is inside you, not outside. And therefore, that became a great issue for my learning process that gets reiterated. The one more incident before I can go further was very important for me, and that was a game changer of that final nail on the head. You see, I've been with Swami for so many years, but you don't learn things, okay? You have your own notions, you have your own understanding, you believe that you know Swami very well, but you don't. It's only experience that teaches you. There is nothing like knowing Bhagawan. You can't know him, it's beyond knowledge. You can only experience him. And you always forget to experience this part and to rely on your experience rather than on your knowledge or being impressed by anybody else. It was the Yajur Mandir opening. And we were all sitting on the portico, and everybody was called for the first lunch with Bhagawan in the Yajur Mandir. Imagine what a great occasion it was. Lo and behold, everybody was called, and my name was not there. Now imagine you're sitting on the portico with all your colleagues, everybody goes, and you're not there, your name is not called up. And despite all this sanidhya of Bhagawan and knowledge and so-called lectures that I gave, that moment I collapsed like anything. I was dejected, I was crying, I was angry, all kinds of negative emotions that you can have started oozing out of my system. I'm not good. That self-deprecation. I'm not good. Maybe I'm not good enough to be Swami. Swami doesn't want me to come. All this I thought about myself that Swami is happy with me is not wrong. That complete despondency encompassed my entire being. I got up from the portico and everybody went for lunch. I cried, literally sobbing on my way to my N9 block. And it's not easy when you have to learn this lesson. People on the way also then irritate you. Oh, you're going, you are not there inside. No, they put salt on the wound. And you go home and I cried. Now imagine when you're despondent, you don't even see his grace. Now, colleague of mine calls me that Nimish, though the lunch is over, but still the lunch is going on for all the people. The Sevadal are still going to eat. Now imagine my ego. Why should I go and eat with the Sevadal? You didn't call me, now I won't go. But when God loves you, he corrects your mistakes. Something prompted me and I went there. And the second lot of lunch which was happening, I sat there. And imagine even the Sevadal didn't spare me. Sir, you didn't come for the first batch. It's worse than you don't even know whether to eat or not to eat or what to do. So anyway, I took the prasad. I went back in the evening, darshan, sat on the portico. And luckily, even on the portico, there is fight for lines. For all you people who don't know, you know that on the portico is no different from the lines below. So portico, luckily you get the first line and I got that line. That evening, brothers and sisters, this master who's not the physical form, this master who's inside you, manifested and came off on this platform portico. And from far away, from a distance across the portico, the so-called feeble form of Bhagawan roared from outside and said, "Hey, Nimish, you didn't come for lunch in the morning. I was missing you." Imagine. And I collapsed with complete. How did I ever forget that my master is inside me? How did it become important for me that I should be seen by the world to have lunch with Bhagawan? Why did I even imagine that he doesn't remember me? Why did I even imagine that he doesn't know me? And I realized that the Abu and Adam story, it is not always the best situation to proclaim yourself as a devotee. But if you realize that God remembers you and God is inside you, that is far better than anything that can ever happen in your life. And this incident is not unique to me, brothers and sisters. This is true for all of us. We look for God outside, but he's not outside, he's inside. And that experience pushes you miles ahead in your spiritual sadhana. It is not your jap, tap, tap. These are all instrumentations. But this experience, surrendering, jumping to him and letting him know to run your life, that is the great. And what is the manifestation of this, brothers and sisters, is something which I realize that prayer is a great thing to do. And one of the early lessons that Swami taught me was on prayer. As a young man, I was sitting with a few people and children and performing. And after the performance, there was a young kid who started crying next to me. And this kid, I understand now, is one of a very senior scientists in NASA. The young man has become a great person. He was sitting next to me and crying, and you know how it is in the cycle when all when children cry, the Sevadal can pick you up and throw you like an ant. So he started crying and I didn't know what to do. So I told him, "Son, keep quiet. What do you want? What do you want? Keep quiet." So then I wanted to keep him quiet. You know what he said? "I want vibhuti from Swami's hand." Now, Aarti is over. Swami's gone inside the room. Nothing can happen. In the logical world of the brain, Swami will never come out. But then I only told this boy, just to keep him quiet. I said, "Shut up, close your eyes and pray." He closed his eyes, he became quiet, and I forgot him because I was very happy the noise was stopped. But lo and behold, brothers and sisters, in the next 5 minutes, unimaginable happened. After the Aarti, after Swami going in, Swami opened the door and came out. As he came out, he started walking across the portico and came down in the direction where we were sitting. Imagine this ego of the man. I'm very happy that Swami is coming next to me. I've forgotten about this kid. I'm thinking Swami is coming to me and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I'm going to say that. You're not realizing his game plan. He's walking towards me and he came and stood so close to me that my face was literally touching his stomach. So I looked up and I said, "Swami." Then Swami said to me, "Wake this kid up." So then I realized for the first time this kid is sitting next to me. I woke him up and I said, look, Swami's come, Swami's come. And this kid opened his eyes for the first time and looked at Bhagawan and smiled so beautifully. And I saw Swami smile at him so beautifully. And then Swami asked him, what do you want? Kya mangta hai? And this kid, Swami, I want vibhuti from your hand. And Swami materialized vibhuti and gave him. And then he looked at me sarcastically and said, look, idiot, he knows that prayer works. You didn't know that prayer works. And that was the lesson of journey. And I still consider this boy now who may be somewhere in NASA to be my guru who taught me. Swami used him as an instrument to teach me the power of prayer. And I'll never forget that. I'm so eternally grateful to that young man for teaching me this situation. And to Shankar for giving me that opportunity of learning and repeating like a school kid with Swami telling me all the time and reminding me who the doer is and what the reality of life is. Brothers and sisters, coming to what we are now in a few moments before I conclude, because I know it's too late in the night for many of you, and there is no end to this saga. I do believe, and I want to urge a common learning for all of us. We're all fellow pilgrims in the path. I think this centenary, we need to take a vow that we will never compare Bhagawan with any other god. Bhagawan came to raise us to his level. Let us not make this mistake of bringing him down to our level. It is our duty to raise ourselves. And what raise? Realize that God is within us and not outside. And therefore, all external symbols are inspirational. They are not the goal. And I learned this very hard. I was, we just finished a function in Prashant Nilam, and Kamla and I were just about to pack up and come back to Mumbai. And I remember that time Indulal Shah and Sarla Aunty were from Prashant Nilam going to Rameshwaram. So Indubai asked me, Nimish, would you like to join me to go to Rameshwaram? So I said, yeah, why not? I'll join you. You know, imagine Indulal Shah is going to Rameshwaram and Kamla and I being invited. So we're saying yes, so there's nothing wrong. I'm not going to a club. I'm not going to a party. I'm going to Rameshwaram. We left together. My father was teaching that time, as it was said in the introduction. And Swami, my father was sitting on the portico. Swami came out. The moment we left, Swami came out in the interview room and asked him, hey, Pandya, where is your son gone? So now my father is a very happy man. He's telling, no, he's very proudly telling him, sir, he's gone with Indubai. Swami, he's gone with Indubai to go to Rameshwaram for darshan and all that. My dad thought he was doing a good thing, but he didn't realize it was a massive disaster for me for the next 4 years. Swami boiled down this. Kyun gaya? Why did he go there? What is there that is not here? Brothers and sisters, don't misunderstand this, okay? He was saying, what is there in Rameshwaram which is not here? And I got lambasted. Swami didn't speak to me and Kamla for nearly next 3 to 4 years. Those 3 to 4 years were a great learning experience, brothers and sisters, where having been battered on this statement, I couldn't understand that why should I get fired for going to Rameshwaram? But then, being a part of Bal Vikas, being a part of the EH, I kept on getting reminded by him that, look, I want you to learn that I'm inside you. I want you to experience that I'm inside you. Rameshwaram is a great inspiration. But that statue there is not God. That statue there is only an inspirational manifestation of reminding me all the time that Rama is sitting inside me and not outside. After 3 years, probably, Swami must have realized that Kamla and I have learned this lesson. Then an interview in Vrindavan. Kamla was not well, and we were really praying to Swami for succor. Swami called us. The illness was not the subject. He closed the door, turned around after 3 years, and picked up the conversation from there. Kyun? We had gone to Rameshwaram with Indulal Shah, no? You know, brothers and sisters, that thunderbolt of realization, how this phenomenon is really not different. You and that phenomenon is the same, is not different. Therefore, I think we need to understand this for the next century. For all of us, we need to get this thing right. Secondly, the message of the master. The message of the master is only self-transformation. We're not here to change the world. We're not here to improve anybody else. We're not here to claim mastery about the knowledge of the philosophy of Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai. According to me, Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba philosophy is very simple. You and I are one. I am inside you. Realize that I am the doer and experience unity with me. That's all that he wants and nothing else. And that changes the whole fabric of your life and your perception and your journey to his divine devotion. And this is universal. All are one. All religions are one. And Swami's philosophy is beyond religions. It's not even comparable to anything. It is not even identical to anything. That's the situation that he wants us to understand. And therefore, it is very important for everyone who calls himself a devotee to understand, to practice what he wants us to practice, not practice what we think we should practice. We should practice what he wants us to practice. And therefore, I tell all my colleagues in the organization, do your pujas, do your havan, do your rudram, do everything. But at the end of the day, if all that rudram, all that havans, all those pujas, all those sadhanas does not transform into your experience of growing 1% of your experience that this master whom you are praying to is inside and not outside. And the fact and the proof of this realization will manifest in your own behavior to other people, in terms of tolerance, in terms of compassion, in terms of love, in terms of forgiveness, in terms of unity. These are the manifestations of a true devotee. The manifestation of the so-called. Therefore, I have now, at the cost of people trying to be unhappy with me, I say, what devotee? Please don't call yourself a devotee. You can't call yourself a devotee. God has to say that you are a devoted person. Just because you carry photographs of Swami, just because you're an office bearer, just because you're a part of the organization, just because you did 10,000 bhajans and 100 bhajans and so many japs, please don't say you're a devotee. Only when you feel loved, only when you can tolerate, only when you can be compassionate, when you can be one with everybody, when you can erase your ego, when you can efface your ego, when you can merge with the larger vision and always attempt to be together, then you have started to become a devotee of Bhagawan, where the first step has started. And sisters, this is very important. If we don't correct our vision now, my personal feeling is that we would have been doing great injustice to the avatar of Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai. He is a phenomenon. He is a cause letter for everything that is happening. And to understand that. And therefore, the third and the last point is with the Sathya Sai organization. People always say, I'm doing Swami's work. I have a great objection to this sentence. Who are you? You are incapable of even doing a second of Swami's work. To say that I'm doing Swami's work is the biggest hoax, the biggest illusion that you can ever be. You can never do Swami's work. Swami is giving us an opportunity to serve so that we realize that he is the doer. You never claim anything. And therefore, our Seva organization, our service is spiritual service. It is unlike any other organization in the world because it's the path of individual sadhana journey. And people talk of world peace. I said, what world peace? Swami clearly said, if there is no individual peace, if there is no individual transformation, world transformation and world peace, don't talk about it. It's a big hoax. Therefore, our effort, the platform of the Sathya Sai Seva organization, there also, we have to now, in the next century, grow beyond the so-called Sai devotee and the so-called non-Sai devotee. This duality is not what Swami wants. Everyone is welcome. Everyone is one. And anybody who feels is special, I think he has to rethink about himself because all of us are special. There's no one person. Each one of us is special to Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai. And therefore, that comes to the last point I want to make, brothers and sisters, in the Sai organization. I do believe that I am learning, and I'm sure all of us are learning, that we are not here to attach ourselves to any other human being. I can't be a fan of another human being. I can't be under the influence of another human being. I have to be self-confident like a lion with Swami inside me. I will tread the path of sadhana and realize. And therefore, in the Sai organization, all of us must ensure in the Indian language, we don't become chamchas of each other. You know, I don't want to become subservient to the convener. I don't want to become subservient. I want to please this guy, please that guy. If somebody gets upset, no, I'm scared that if I do something, then my leader will get upset with me and I will not have a scope. Participating in sadhana and seva is the birthright of every human being. No office bearer can stop us from this sadhana. Yes, there is a discipline which must be followed because Discipline is being followed to control our own mind and to ensure that the mind doesn't create a print. Therefore, if Balu tells me something and I don't agree, I will express my conscience to him with love. But ultimately, I will follow him, because then I will see Swami in Balu and I realize that Balu's words are Swami's words, not Balu's words. Just as an example, I'm sorry I'm taking your name, Balu, but that's how it is. And that kind of an act. Therefore, our platform is not an organization in the word organization we understand. It's not one entity. Our entity has no boundaries. Everybody is welcome. It's a platform, to my mind, of anybody who wants to practice and realize his innate divinity. And these are some thoughts that came to my mind that I'll share today. And the journey has been great. We've been learning, and all of us are learning together. And the benchmark of the centenary is definitely a time when we have to show to the next generation who really Bhagawan is, what is his message of simplicity of practice, and what a beautiful platform we have where everybody is welcome. There is no authority. And sometimes I pray to Bhagawan that Bhagawan, please guide us, that in the Sathya Sai world of organizational world, we call ourselves mentors and not leaders with authority. We have no credentials to be authoritative on another human being. We can only be inspirational or mentors to other people from our experience that we can come. And I wish and pray to Bhagawan on this great centenary that we learn these lessons, and the Sathya Sai organization all over the world becomes a beautiful platform where everybody is welcome. Nobody corrects anybody else, and everybody corrects himself or herself. It's a dream that Bhagawan wanted, and let us pray to him that we fulfill it. Jai Sai Ram, and thank you very much for this patience here.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brother Nimish. What an excellent inspirational talk. So grateful. So thank you. I'm sure all our audience have been fascinated and so much inspired. We'll take one question, Jean. I think we have time for one question. Do you have any, Jean, that you have received?
I have a question. Nimish, can you give us an idea of what the Sai organization will be like a few hundred years from now?
Gene, that's a good question. And the answer, straightforward, immediately, spontaneously, is that the Sai organization is going to be an eternal organization for years and for eons of time, because it has been blessed by the ultimate power that is the source of this entire creation. Therefore, it can't be better than this. Okay? It can only go wrong if Jean and Nimish don't understand it correctly. It can only go wrong if the current so-called people who call themselves devotees are the people to be blamed if this fails. The concept, the platform, and the divinity of the master will never fail. It will be there for eons of time. And therefore I said that centenary is a time to take a fresh guard for us people who have been blessed to know and understand Swami, that we correct ourselves first. Okay? That Nimish doesn't have to be sensitive if Jean tells him something. I will still be nice to Jean. If Jean doesn't be good to me, I'll still be good to him. I will still help him even if he doesn't. Because I don't see Jean. I see my master in Jean. Now, this is a tall order, I understand. But that's what the platform is meant for. That's what my spiritual wing, my bhajans, my seva, all this is meant for that purpose. And therefore, Jean Swami used to always say, I'm not concerned with the work that you do. I'm concerned with what the work does to you, which is more important for me. And that is the difference. And therefore, all the current lot of people, Jean, who think they are authorities, who are leaders, and who have a privileged position, like the George Orwell story, all are equal, but some are more equal than others. This doesn't work with Bhagawan. With Bhagawan, everybody is equal. There's no special. And I do want to say that I think the corrective method for this to become permanent is to all of us to understand that just because Nimish got 10 interviews and Jean got 5 interviews doesn't make Nimish better than Jean. Because both of us could be useless and there could be a third person who has had no idea about Bhagawan, and Bhagawan would take him to be a better devotee than all of us put together. Therefore, this aura that we create upon ourselves, Jean, that's the first disband that we need to do for this organization to sing its glory for eons of time.
You know, Chandra asked me to say thanks to you, and I don't know that I can say thank you enough, because that's one of the most magnificent talks I've ever heard. I've heard a lot of talks, and that is a magnificent talk. And more importantly, I will share it widely because it is very, very important talk that we all should hear. It came right from Swami, and I was in tears as I was listening to you, and I know that all of us feel the same way, that it's a magnificent message that you are giving. You know, Swami said something to Sundar Iyer once. He was kind of sad, and Swami said, after all this time, only a handful. And we have been blessed tonight to hear one of those that Swami is speaking of, a handful, because we are very, very grateful to have had you.
It is not my talk. It is our talk. It is the message that all of us have understood with Bhagawan. Some can say it, some feel it, some experience it, some live it. But it is all our talk. This is what Bhagawan wants all of us to learn. And I'm just echoing what he's told all of us. And therefore, I think we want to be grateful to Bhagawan for at least giving us the capacity to understand even the little bit that he wants us to understand. I think that's a great thing. Thank you.
Swami Sathya Sai Hare, Bhakta Jana Samdashaka, Bhakta Jana Samdashaka, Pati Maheshwara, Om Jai Jagadish Hare, Shashti Vadana Sri Kara, Sarva Prana Pate, Swami Sarva Prana Pate, Om Jai Jagadish Hare, Mata Pita Guru Devam Mariyam Trayunive, Swami Mariyam Trayunive, Nada Brahma Jagannatha, Nada Brahma Jagannatha, Nagena Sayana, Om Jai Jagadish Hare, Omkara Rupa Vajasviva Sai Mahadeva, Satya Sai Mahadeva, Mangala Harati Andupam, Mangala Harati Andupam, Mangala Giridhari, Om Jai Jagadish Hare, Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana 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 Om, Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Jai Sadguru Deva, Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana 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 Om, Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Jai Sadguru Deva, Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana 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 Om, Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Jai Sadguru Deva. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu. जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई महाराज की जय।